big thing.
Welcome to the Dr. Nikki Starr Show, a podcast focused on spirituality, personal development, healing, and transformation to inspire you to live your ultimate potential and an epic life. I'm your host, Dr. Nikki Starr, a former medical doctor born into a lineage of Colombian shamans and healers with a mission to reach millions of people for the healing and awakening of humankind to co-create heaven on earth. As a spiritual teacher, transformational life coach, shamanic healer, and energy strategist, I am passionate about empowering people to connect to your multidimensional aspects and your creator power to live your highest potential timeline with more ease and grace. Every week, we cover topics in all areas of life, including love, relationships, career, business, mindset, manifestation, esotericism, wellness, and more. Thank you so much for being here. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Dr. Nikki Starr Show. I am your host, Dr. Nikki Starr. Welcome. Today's topic is the mystical and the practical, 3D and 5D science and spirituality. We will be talking about these two aspects of our reality, the seen and the unseen world. And I feel that it's important to bring this topic early on because whenever I talk about anything in life or any philosophy about anything, both of these realities run true and are equal to me in my life and to the people I work with and to anyone going through a spiritual awakening. And I know that a big part of the audience listening to this podcast, you are going through some form of an awakening process, I'm sure, or you're seeking something, or you have some connection to something greater than yourself. And the seekers who are out there in the world who know that there's so much more to this reality than we see, and there is more than we're told in school or that society tells us in mainstream education. And a big part of my mission is the re-education of humanity to co-create the new earth, a better earth, the earth that we know is heaven on earth, where we all know love, joy, peace, abundance as our birthright, as our everyday experience. And part of this, I feel, comes from really accepting the totality of reality, the totality of our beings. So we are physical matter, aka the 3D. This is our bodies, the things that we see, that we can touch, the objects and shapes, right? 3-dimensional reality. We are also 5D, our spirit, our soul, the aspects of us that are far greater than this physical matter, that exist even beyond this present time reality. Now, before I go any further, I want to give a disclaimer to anyone listening. You may or may not agree with the concepts that I'm going to share today, but what I ask you to do if you choose to listen is listen with an open mind and allow the experiences to resonate within your body. Sometimes we feel truth beyond the logic of the mind, the reasoning of the mind. Sometimes things feel true just because they feel true. We know them in our bodies. At some cellular level, what is being spoken feels like truth or not. And you are entitled to your opinion. What I share is based on my experiences, based on my many educations, both in the medical world as well as in the spiritual world. It's also based on my mystical experiences that I've had, and I will share some of them as well. And I feel that what creates truth is also experiences. So the experiences I have lead me to believe that reality is a certain way, and there are certain rules, and these are universal rules and laws in which govern our way of being, our way of relating, our way of creating in the world. And the point of this podcast is to bring some answers to some of those more esoteric, mystical, these questions that can bring us into these rabbit holes of conversations where sometimes it's like, do we even know what the truth really is? I find that our search for truth and knowledge is meant to bring some sort of peace to our being. That somehow by knowing the laws of the universe and how things work, we can surrender to the process more. And that's what it did for me. And I feel like because I understand a certain framework and rules and laws of this reality, for me, I feel that I feel more confident in creating my reality. And then with that, I create and manifest things that I want to live and experience. And sometimes they go according to plan, and sometimes not the way I expect them to. And we will get into so much of these beautiful, sometimes I call it mental masturbation, because it's these conversations that we can just talk about forever. And it's almost like talking about love and some of these more romantic topics. So I'm really excited to bring all of this to you today. So another reason I wanted to talk about these topics is because personally, I say that my work is very much mystical and practical. So what I mean by that is that by healing at the soul level, at the energetic level, because the soul and energy are part of the 5D reality, and so are emotions, whereas the 3D reality is mind, body, the physical reality, right? So the objects we find in our reality. And by doing the spiritual work, that mystical work, we see the tangible, practical results in our lives. So this is why it's important, I feel, to understand this dualistic nature we live in. That it's almost like by affecting things at the micro level, we affect them at the macro level. So what we do internally, we see results in our external reality. So we can even think of internal as more of the mystical realms and the external as more as the practical realms. And I am very much a fan of both. So even though I'm a spiritual healer, I'm also a life coach. So as the spiritual healer, I support my clients and students to shift in ways that are not really measurable, but we go into the cellular memories, we go into past lives, which is more mystical in nature. We do timeline healing. So we go to ourselves at different points in time. So even this aspect of, which is sort of like a time travel, is also more mystical in nature. This is not something we often hear about. We think of like time is now and there's past, present, future. But in the more mystical way of relating to life, past, present, and future exist all at the same time. So we can go to our past and heal our past, and then with that affect our future, and then support us in changing the future timelines to one that is a higher potential. Because our ultimate goal is to live our highest potential. So even if we go to a past life, we can affect our present life. So by healing things that happened in past lives, we can have a better outcome in the present moment of how we're experiencing things, relationships, situations, because oftentimes we live these spirals of reality where we're perpetuating and reliving things. And I believe this is mostly so that we can heal it and we can transcend beyond it and we can live it in a more fulfilling way to give us the outcome that we desire if we haven't already. So that's why you may find yourself in situations of same script, different cast in life. And this is because there may be something to heal. We're going to get into past lives more in other episodes, as well as there are perspectives of reality and relationships and all these beautiful things. But for now, I really want to pave this groundwork. So by doing this mystical work within ourselves, this spiritual healing, also energy healing, is part of the mystical work. And I like to say that energy work is miracle work. We don't really know how it works in the sense of science, but we do know to some capacity. And when I say science and spirituality for this episode, science today is the things that we can measure. And by measuring them, we can derive theories, which we can say are facts or the way things operate, until we prove something else to be true for now. So even science works on theory and isn't even the absolute truth. So what I truly believe, as someone who is well-versed in science, having gone through my medical training and I've done research in melanoma and I understand science very well, I still don't fully believe in everything science tells us for multiple reasons, which I'll get into. But I also think that some of spirituality is shunned by mainstream society, as well as by certain scientists, when the truth is, I don't feel that science is advanced enough to measure what's happening in the spiritual realms. So for example, there haven't really been tools that measure energy work. There have been studies that show when certain types of energy practices are done. I know they did one with Qigong, and they had patients practice, patients with cancer. They had them, one group practice Qigong, which is an energy practice that moves energy in the body. And then the other group not practice Qigong, and they found cancer cell death in the group that practiced Qigong. So this shows us that energy work does have a positive effect on our body. Now, in terms of the cellular level, has science been able to measure exactly how energy works on the body? I believe in time, yes, but ultimately, I feel that the highest, the strongest frequency wins. And in my experience, energy, at least the energy work that I use, is a very pure frequency, a frequency of love and light, the highest frequencies of love and light. And it goes in and it dissolves and it breaks up and it clears and cleanses any energies that may be creating blocks that affect the physical reality. This can be emotional, but it can even be actually affecting the physical body. So for example, a healthy body has meridians and channels that allow energy to flow with ease and grace. There's no obstacles, there's no blockages, but the moment there's an obstacle or a blockage, energy gets stuck and this creates dis-ease. So whether it's emotional disease or actually physical disease, like a disease actually will manifest in your body. So this is why I love energy work, because it goes straight to the root of the problem. If we looked at humans like a blueprint, everything is energy first. So the clearer the energy, the more you could say organized, in order, in alignment, the energy field is, and all the meridians and the way in which they communicate. If everything is like neatly organized and clear and clean, this is a healthy person. The moment there's obstacles or blockages, you can even think of an analogy of running water. Like when you think of a river, it's clean, it's flowing, it's running. But the moment something gets dammed up or water goes and sits in a puddle because the energy or the water is stagnant, this can create some disease, disorder that then manifests into something physical. So as a trained medical doctor, what I realize is Western medicine is treating the already manifested physical symptoms of what is caused by energy dysfunction, energy blockages. So when we're doing healing work, I like to say we look at both. We look at the mystical We look at the physical. We look at the mystical, we look at the practical. We look at the 3D, we look at the 5D. We look at science and we look at spirituality. We must treat the whole person. We must look at the whole person when we're wanting to live our ultimate lives, when we're wanting to create our ultimate reality. And I believe so many people, too many people, are not looking at the 5D, at the mystical, at the spiritual enough. We are spiritual beings at our core. What do you think inhabits your body that gives it energy to run? It's your spirit. And your breath is your inspiration, right? Spirit is in the word inspiration. Your expiration is your spirit as well, right? Expiration. And so your breath is a measure, is showing your spirit in your body. So we want to really address the whole person. And the same is true for your life. And what I felt in Western medicine is this care for the spirit was lacking. And when I would see patients, and even still now, when anyone that I love in my life or a client or anyone complains about a physical ailment to me, you better be sure that I am looking for the mystical, esoteric meaning of that. So if someone's complaining of lower back pain or any kind of back pain, the first thing I think of is, how's the support in your life? Or how are you financially? What's going on financially for you? Or the moment someone has a headache, I immediately think, I'll say after addressing hydration, I immediately think, did they take on any energies from other people? Are there any entities in their field? Are there energies that are needing to be cleared? So every single symptom is speaking to me on a more mystical, spiritual level, because I believe the foundation of everything is spiritual and energetic. And we can even use those synonymously, energetic and spiritual. So all of this goes hand in hand. I'm not saying that science is wrong. Absolutely not. But do I think there's corruption in the world of science today? Yes. Do I think there's corruption in the medical field as well? Yes. Do I think that not enough credit is given to a person's emotional, lifestyle, relationship world? Yes. We want to look at everything in a person. Everything is affecting some system. And as I call myself a two-world walker, and a lot of spiritual healers and shamans do, because we see things in both realms. We're able to connect the dots in both realms. And even the dream world is part of the mystical 5D realm. Your dreams are communicating with you. There's information to be received in your dreams as well. And I feel that the more we come to include everything, the more powerful you become, and the more powerful your life becomes as well. And the more powerful of a creator you become. The reason why is because as part of the 5D mystical realms of reality, we have our belief, knowing, trust, faith, whatever you like to call it, in something greater than us. You can call it energy, you can call it the universe, you can call it the quantum, you can call it God, Goddess, Mother Nature, spirit guides, whatever force of co-creation you feel is supporting your reality. When you have faith and trust in that, this is when you gain power. Because even when we think of the way nature runs, it's like this miracle. Even like the way a baby is created, it's like a miracle. Or how the universe was created. You know, science tries to explain it, but we still don't even know the truth. But we know there is some force of creation. We see that seed become a giant oak tree. We see the sperm and the egg come together to eventually create a human. We see that the universe was created from something, somewhere, somehow. So there is a force of creation. We can't explain it. Hence, I put it into the mystical category. And when we tap into that force, and we all have the power to, because we come from this creation force, you came from a sperm and an egg coming together, and somehow something happened and created you. And yes, science has gone through to mark and charter all of the stages of development, but even how it all comes together, that perfect intelligence, is quite mystical indeed. And the moment we own that as part of our existence and our capability, this is when we become the superhumans that we're meant to be and that we are. We are co-creators of reality. Every single person is here as a powerful creator. And the moment you own that and you take full responsibility of everything you are creating in your life, you have the power to change it and create whatever you desire. And this is what I am passionate about: awakening and catalyzing this potential and capacity in every single human, to remember that the power is in your hands. You get to create and live and experience anything you desire. Does not matter where you come from. Nothing matters. In every moment is a new moment that you get to create and decide. Now, the manifestation process, there's often a bit of a delay. And I would say this is a good thing, because sometimes we think things and we say things and we're like, oops, I actually don't mean that. So I feel that it's a protection mechanism. And either way, it's like an addition to all the thoughts you ever have are constantly co-creating your reality, and the strongest ones win. What we give more focus and attention to, that wins. So this is why what you worry about can manifest too. If you spend enough energy and time in worry, you will create that. So be careful of your fears and do not feed them. It is best to keep your focus and attention on what you're grateful for and what you are creating and what you're desiring to create. And that's why goals are so powerful, because we keep ourselves focused on how we want to arrange the molecules for the next moment of creation. So it is so important for you to connect to that force, that mystical force of creation that is you, that is available to all of us. And the more that you're in touch with not only the physical reality and the results of the physical reality, but also you bring online and on board the mystical reality that you are a part of through your energy, through your breath, through your spirit, through your soul, through all your lives and all the timelines and all the places, as well as whatever force you believe in that's helping you create reality. So like I said, whether it's God, Goddess, whether it's spirit guides, whether it's the universe, the quantum, whatever you feel is supporting you in your process. And the reason why also I bring this up is because in my work and in my life, my work is my life, essentially. I'm a big believer in connecting to the mystical realms, or we could call it the divine realms, or we can even call it the blueprint that is pre-creation, where we talk to that space. We could call it the void, we can call it the quantum, where all is created. And when you're putting your orders in, sometimes I like to say that prayer or manifestation or affirmations are a part of this co-creation process. Or even in a book like the Bible, it said in the beginning, I can't remember the exact words, but essentially like in the beginning, there was the word, right? And so the word, what you speak, what you pray, what you affirm, is co-creating reality on the mystical levels first. And then as it takes time for particles to organize themselves, it becomes physical reality. And so prayer and meditation are powerful in this process. I like to say that prayer and meditation are like brother and sister. Prayer is where you're putting your order into the universe. So whether you want to call it, some people might associate prayer with religion. And I understand that people have different triggers around religion or judgments around it. And some people might have judgments around spirituality. So for the sake of this podcast, because my intention is to reach millions of people, I'd like to find a way that I can resonate with everyone's belief systems. Ultimately, on some level, it's all the same because truth is the same, just spoken in different ways. So whether you say God or spirit guides, we're speaking of that co-creative support. Whether we're talking about prayer or affirmations or a written manifestation, we are speaking about our order to the universe, to the quantum, to the void, to that realm where we begin creation, where the seeds are planted. And meditation is so powerful because that's the space that you listen to the orders that are your part in the co-creation. So if there's actions to take, people to reach out to, a creation of some sort, the next actions that you can take in the direction of your dreams, goals, and desires, that's your part in the co-creation. And having that space, and that's where you get those ideas, right? That inspiration, that idea, where you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then it brings you to the next thing. And this is part of strengthening our intuition as well. And our intuition is that communication space with the mystical realms, with the 5D realms, with our spirit guides, with God, with whatever it is that you feel you're co-creating with, that's beyond you, that's bigger than you. And it can even be your highest self. For those of you that, and I share this because my partner is very much a mindset person and very much a practical person. And he really believes in like the highest self, which is it's a part of ourselves that gives us that information. And that's also your highest form of co-creation with yourself. So your highest self has your blueprints as well. And so I believe there is this grand plan for ourselves, and we can call this our highest potential timeline. And it's almost like this game to get to our destiny. And we don't know all the pieces consciously when we're incarnated into physical form. But before we were born and on these higher planes of our consciousness, we do know the plan. And our dreams and desires are connected to them. And this reality is a game of life where we get to live out these desires that are connected with our divine aspect. And I know there's a lot of information in this, so you can digest it. I think there's even options to listen to it slower. When I channel and when I'm speaking, I often go quickly because I'm just getting the downloads. So feel free to slow. It is an option to slow down how I'm speaking if it is easier for you, whereas some people like receiving it quickly because it doesn't give the mind time to think, whereas you can receive it and absorb it more. So, and it keeps our attention, right? The faster we go, sometimes there's no space other than to receive, other than to listen. And I want to speak a little bit more about the science and the spirituality. I do think that there are a lot of politics in the science at the moment, but the idea with science, where I think it has its value, is where something can be shared, and it's shared in a way that it can be reproduced by another person. So for example, if you share a method of how to do something and someone else can read it and then try it for themselves and get the same outcome. Or where we do those controlled randomized trials where we have one group do something, another group not do it, so that we can see if something has benefit, whether it's having an experience, whether it's taking some kind of medicinal substance, be it an herb, a plant, a medicine, whatever it is. This is where I feel like science really has its value. Unfortunately, through the pharmaceutical industry and what the Western medical model has become today, there can be some corruption and even some biased interest for certain outcomes to happen versus just sharing all of the information that is found. And it's true, we can find a study for everything. Like I can find a study that shows you why this is good, and I can also find you a study why that is bad. And I feel you want to listen to your intuition on things related to your health, your wellness, what resonates with you. Your intuition and what you know to be best for your body and your being and your life far outweighs what anyone can tell you. Because as we go into episodes with connected to even nutrition, and you're going to see that it's not the same formula for everyone. What is good for one person doesn't mean it's good for another person. Each of us is unique in our makeup, in our constitution, and where we come from, in how we operate, how we respond to certain environmental factors, how we respond to different foods. So it's important that you learn what is best for you. And part of the spiritual journey is you learning more about who you truly are, beyond the constructs of the mind that were programmed into you from education, from the culture you grew up in, from what you exposed yourself to as an adult and what was exposed to you as a child as well. So it's about getting back to the truth of who you are, remembering who you are, even at a multidimensional level, who you are even beyond the earth physical plane, who you are in other times and spaces, who you are at the soul level, what's your original essence, what's the truth of who you are. And sometimes it goes beyond words, not even sometimes, all the times. It's beyond words, who you truly are. Your essence, your radiance, your light, your energy, your frequency. You are a very unique conglomerate of things put together. And the more you know yourself, the better you can operate in reality. The better you can co-create your reality. So this is really fun and exciting times that more and more people are awakening to truth, the truth of who you are. And so I invite you, and I want this podcast to also be practical. So I really want you to feel for yourself of who are you at the 3D level. So what that means is in this material matrix, and that would be your profession. If you're a mother, a father, a sibling, if you are whatever it is that you do in your daily life, whatever your hobbies are, this is who you are at the 3D. All of your characteristics about yourself. But who you are at the 5D is something that maybe can only be felt or seen. And so your homework is to really tune into who you are on the mystical planes. Even if you could draw an image of what that is, if you're visual, or maybe you're more audio and maybe it's a certain frequency or sound, or it's a texture, you're more sentient, like you feel things more. And so maybe you're more of a texture. Your likes, your dislikes, your desires, they're all cluing you into who you are, the truth of why you came here to be. All of this matters. And it matters because you matter. It matters because you're not on this earth by accident. You are here on purpose. There is a perfection to your existence. And the more you unravel that, the more you can share your gifts with the world, the more empowered you become. The more your energy stays in creation versus any other frequency that can deplete your human experience in any way. And the more that each one of us awakens, so the reason why this is important on a grander scale is the more that each of us awakens, the more we can make choices that are for the highest and best good of all. And as each individual wakes up to that connection and that interdependence that we're here to experience and feel with the all that is, with other humans, with the earth, with the mystical realms, the divine realms, the more we can create that heaven on earth. And for each person that may be different, but ultimately we all want to see a world with love, peace, joy, happiness, abundance, prosperity for all. And it is absolutely possible. And in some regions of the world, we're already starting to see that. And so if we can just spread this to be mainstream, this is where we're going to see a massive shift on the planet. And all of us who have come for the healing and awakening of humanity, this is our mission. And the moment we see that evolutionary jump in humanity, we will know a different earth. We will have a different life experience. The change always begins with us, one person at a time. And the more we grow our knowledge and we start to expand our consciousness through experiences like this, listening to podcasts, listening to different spiritual teachers, listening to different topics that inspire you and that feed some part of your soul, that help you to understand reality from this expanded perception, this is when we start to see change. The more you can learn, the more you can understand. And it's not even understanding from this place of needing to know everything. It's not an ego-based structure. It's really about understanding so that there can be unconditional love for all that is. So you can show up in a completely different way in how you relate to the world and all beings and things. And the more we know, the more we realize we don't know. And then we get into this like Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole of understanding society and life, but it's all a beautiful thing. And so let's review this episode for a moment. So we touched upon the mystical and the practical, reminding you that you are a mystical being with your soul, your spirit, your energy. You lived in different times and places. But from a practical perspective, you are here living this life in this tangible 3D realm. You can touch things, you can see them, but there's also the unseen realm. And the 3D and the 5D reality, it's understanding that too, and knowing that as we ascend, we're becoming more divine and we ascend up the dimensions. So 3D, 5D, 10D, 12D. And this goes into another whole, I'm sure we could do a whole episode on this as well, but in different dimensions, we have different realities experiencing themselves as well as different species, different civilizations. And that's a whole other thing that we won't get into today. But know that different dimensions have different existences within them. And we are in one dimension, the third dimension. And within the third dimension, through your consciousness and through your frequency and vibration, you can operate in and out of different dimensions. And that's what a lot of healers and spiritual teachers and spiritual guides and mystics do. As myself, I do this as well. And then in terms of science and spirituality, it's both. We never want to discount either one. I feel that if we do, we're discounting a part of ourselves. So I feel when we think of science, we think of the physical body and the things that we can prove with the machinery and the technology we've developed thus far. And there's more in the spiritual realms of our being, which are more of the energy and the spirit, which are, we haven't necessarily developed the technology to measure that yet, but does not mean it's not valid. And what's a key takeaway is that when things exist in the physical that can be shown through science and imaging, etc., that there is always a spiritual underpinning that either caused it or made you susceptible in some way. Because when we are living our optimal selves as our highest potential selves, our immune systems are perfectly intact and we know no disease. Disease is not necessary. It is not a part of aging. It is a byproduct of energy blockages, of things that need to be healed. And they come through in physical symptoms as information for us. As, hello, look at me over here. I'm presenting myself so you can look at this if you desire to or not. So know yourself. The more you know yourself, the more you will be able to heal yourself, to co-create your existence as you desire, and tap into that power within you to co-create whatever life you desire. That is your ultimate potential, your highest potential. And with that, I send you so much love. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2. Know that all of the episodes are launched on Friday in audio. And Monday, you can find the visual version on my YouTube channel. And with that, I send you so much love. Remember who you are. And thank you for being here. May we all live and co-create our ultimate lives for the highest and best good of all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for joining me today. Be sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform and tune in every Friday for a new episode. Spread the love and share this episode with someone who may benefit. So much love to you, and remember who you are.